What narcissists want to happen if you no contact. Hey there, seekers of truth. Today, we're diving into the intricate dance between narcissists and the no contact rule. It's a topic that's been dissected many times, but let's take a closer look at what really happens when you choose to break free. Now, you've probably seen this cycle before: the idealization, devaluation, discard, and hoovering. It's like a vicious merry-go-round of manipulation, all fueled by one thing: control. But here's where things get interesting. When you implement the no-contact rule, you're essentially taking back control of your own narrative. You're saying enough is enough, and reclaiming your power from the narcissist's grasp. So how does this shake out the cycle? How does the narcissist react when they realize they're no longer pulling the strings? Stick around as we unravel the answers together. And if you're ready to break free from the cycle of manipulation, hit that subscribe button and join us on this journey of empowerment. When you decide to go no contact with a narcissist, you're flipping the script on them for the first time ever. And let me tell you, it's like throwing a wrench in their well-oiled machine. See, the whole narcissistic abuse game relies on two key things: the narcissist being in control and having someone willing to play along. But by going no contact, you're snatching that control away and making it clear that you're not playing their game anymore. But here's the kicker: it's not going to be smooth sailing from here on out. I stumbled upon this article by Diane Grande, and she brings up some eye-opening points about what happens to a narcissist when you cut them off. Brace yourself, because it's a wild ride. They might go through a full-blown narcissistic collapse, scramble to find new sources of narcissistic supply, spiral into boredom, anxiety and depression, flat out deny that anything's changed, feel the burning desire to win you back, and oh yeah, unleash a storm of rage. Now here's where things get really interesting. The narcissist isn't just going to sit back and let you walk away scot-free. No, they're going to pull out all the stops to reel you back in. And trust me, they've got a playbook for this. You know that classic move in the narcissistic playbook? Yep, you guessed it, love bombing. So, picture this. When do you think most folks decide to hit the brakes and go for the no-contact rule in the narcissistic roller coaster? Well, it's usually right after they've been tossed aside like yesterday's news, right after the discard stage. Now, from what I've seen, and trust me, I've seen a lot, people don't usually opt for the no-contact rule when they're feeling all sunshine and rainbows. It's more like they're drowning in despair or simmering with anger. But here's where it gets tricky. Right around the corner for the narcissist is the hoover stage, where they usually pull out all the stops to reel you back in. And guess what's a prime move in their playbook at this stage? You got it, love bombing. So imagine this scenario: you've just hit them with a no-contact bombshell, and now they're scrambling to get your attention back. But here's the thing: whether they notice your absence depends on how self-absorbed they are and how closely they're keeping tabs on you. If they've already set their sights on a new target for their narcissistic supply, they might not even bat an eyelash at your radio silence. But let's say their new supply isn't cutting it, or they're just feeling a bit nostalgic for the good old days with you. That's when they'll turn on the charm offensive and hit you with all the compliments and promises of change they can muster. It's a classic move, and unfortunately, many folks fall for it hook, line and sinker, only to get sucked back into their toxic cycle. Alright, let's dive into the top 5 strategies narcissists use during no contact. Think of them as traps, sneaky little traps designed to reel you back into their web of manipulation. And here's the kicker: these traps get more cunning as they go, like levels in a video game. First up, we've got love bombing, but you already know about that one. It's like the opening move in their playbook, meant to shower you with affection and reel you back in. But what's truly diabolical is how they adapt. If love bombing doesn't work the first time, they'll learn from it and use it again later. They're like master manipulators, always adjusting their tactics to trap you. Now let's talk about trap number 2. Cold empathy. Picture this. You've gone no contact with Bob, the narcissist, but he's not giving up that easily. See, Bob's got a knack for cold empathy. He can read your emotions like a book. But here's the twist. He doesn't actually care about how you feel. Nope, he's just using this skill to manipulate you. So, armed with this knowledge, Bob starts pulling strings. He knows your fears, your vulnerabilities, and he's not afraid to use them against you. Take your fear of being alone, for example. Bob's not oblivious to it. In fact, he's exploiting it. He bombards you with messages suggesting he's feeling just as isolated without you. He plays on your shared pain, making you feel like you're in this together. And to top it off, he hints that your connection is something special, something others can't understand. And guess what? It works like a charm, pulling you right back into his clutches. Let's break down empathy for a sec. Normally, it's about understanding someone's feelings and reacting with compassion. But in today's lingo, let's slap tactical in front of it. Think of it like a tool, like a smartphone or a scalpel. It can be used for good or bad, depending on who's wielding it. Chris might use tactical empathy to get inside a hostage taker's head, but a narcissist. They're using it to manipulate you into doing their bidding. Now picture this. Being stuck in a narcissistic cycle is like being in an abusive relationship. It's tough as nails to break free. Take this stat from a Florida domestic abuse shelter. On average, a woman will leave an abusive relationship 7 times before she leaves for good. That's some heavy stuff, highlighting just how tough it is to cut ties with these toxic dynamics. The psychological grip and manipulation tactics make it feel impossible to walk away. And then there's guilt, the third big trap. Let's flip the script for a sec. Throughout this spiel, I've been talking about 2 roles, the narcissist and the victim. You're probably seeing yourself as the victim, with someone you know playing the narcissist. But here's the twist. Imagine someone you love dearly, someone who's never shown any narcissistic traits, as the narcissist. For me, that'd be one of my parents. If they hinted that their life was in danger, I'd jump to their rescue, no questions asked. That's the same pull victims feel when a narcissist lays on the guilt trip. They use every trick in the book, PTSD, loneliness, financial struggles, you name it, to reel you back in. And dang, does it work like a charm. Let's flip the script for a sec. What if they throw the whole kitchen sink at you? They pull out every trick in the book, PTSD, isolation, threats of self-harm, gaslighting. Yet you stick to your guns with the no-contact rule. You're not budging an inch, ignoring their every attempt to reel you back in. Well, brace yourself, because like a switch flipping, their tune changes from guilt to rage. And that's trap number 4, anger. So, what's that like? Let's take a detour to Reddit. Not exactly the Harvard of research, but hey, we're here for fun, right? I stumbled on this gem of a thread where someone spilled the tea on their ex, who they suspected was a narcissist. Get this? The ex went full Hulk mode, cracking their car dashboard with his face because they wouldn't chauffeur him to work, tripping on a cord and face-planting into their chips, walking into a glass door like it owed him money. Total tantrum city. Now, obviously these are in-person blow-ups. Anger during a no-contact rule is a whole other beast. Picture them bad-mouthing you on socials, blaming you for everything to friends and fam, stalking your every move, serving you with legal papers, bragging about their new squeeze, even if it's all smoke and mirrors. Why the theatrics? Well, it's like that old Einstein chestnut. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. The narcissist wants you back, plain and simple. And the harder you slam the door with no contact, the harder they push to bust it wide open. So they keep throwing these traps your way, hoping one will stick and give them a chance to work their toxic magic. So they've thrown everything but the kitchen sink at you, love bombing, cold empathy, guilt tripping, and even rage. But nada, zilch, zero response from your end. So what's a narcissist to do? Well, they go full on Hail Mary and pull out their craziest move yet, the persona of transformation. This one's off the charts bonkers, which is why I saved it for last. Usually, by the time they get to this, the other traps have done the trick and sucked you right back in. But for those rare souls who have the guts to keep ignoring their antics, this is where things get really wild. Now, to wrap your head around this, you've got to buy into this idea. A true blue narcissist doesn't really have what we'd call a personality, at least not in the regular sense. Instead, they're like human sponges, soaking up and mimicking behaviors they've seen, cobbling together a Frankenstein's monster of traits to charm and manipulate others. The persona of transformation is where they double down on this basic principle. They decide its makeover time. And this transformation goes down in 4 phases. First, there's the public transformation phase, where they put on a show for everyone to see. Then, it's on to the targeted vulnerability phase, where they play the wounded bird for a select audience. Next up is the indirect communication phase, where they start dropping hints like breadcrumbs. And finally, there's the direct communication phase, where they lay it all on the line. Alright, let's break down this transformation game plan starting with phase 1. The public transformation phase. Picture this: the narcissist suddenly becomes the poster child for self-improvement. They're hitting up therapy sessions, joining every community service project in sight, and making sure everyone knows about it, especially you. They might even launch a blog or YouTube channel dedicated to their journey to becoming a better human. It's all about broadcasting their supposed growth for the world to see. Next up, we've got targeted vulnerability. Here's where things get sneaky. They tailor their transformation to tick all the boxes of the changes you wish for during your time together. Remember all those late-night rants about their lack of empathy or their selfishness? Yeah, they've taken notes. So if you've been wishing they were more caring, suddenly they're the face of volunteering or mental health advocacy. They'll paint themselves as newfound pillars of compassion and understanding. Now here's the kicker. While they're putting on this grand show, they're radio silent on your end. Months pass, and all you see are these seemingly selfless acts from afar. But they're not done yet. Cue phase 3, indirect communication. Instead of hitting you up directly, they make short tales of their transformation find their way to you through mutual connections or social media. It's all calculated to tug at your heartstrings and leave you feeling a bit off balance. This whole scheme is a textbook manipulation tactic, playing on your hope and love for them. They use public perception and your desire to see the good in people to reel you back in. And then comes the final phase, direct communication. Suddenly, they're sliding into your DMs like nothing ever happened. After months of silence, they come back with a seemingly innocent message. And before you know it, you're back in their orbit. Let's dive into the sheer insanity behind this transformation tactic. It's not just about surface-level change. It's about diving deep into your emotional vulnerabilities and exploiting them for their gain. It's a stark reminder that narcissists will stop at nothing to manipulate and control those around them. Now here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. These relationships are straight up abusive. I mean, it's right there in the name, the narcissistic abuse cycle. But things get fuzzy when you're head over heels for someone, right? It's a paradox as old as time. We're drawn to people based on how they make us feel, even if it leads us down a path of heartache and despair. But here's the kicker. Recognizing and addressing the abuse isn't just about healing. It's about reclaiming your sense of self-worth and identity. So, my hope with this video is to shake some folks awake, those who might be stuck in abusive relationships like this, and don't even realize it. You deserve better, plain and simple. So, the point here isn't just to spot the traps set by narcissists, or anyone with narcissistic tendencies, for that matter. It's about realizing your own worth and having the guts to stand up for it.